This is a Narco Submarine, a stealth marine vehicle built for one purpose: transporting drugs from South America to the US, and sometimes even Europe. Silent, elusive, and built in the shadows, these vessels have become a key tool for cartels. Over the past decade, authorities have seized over 200 of them. But how many more slip through undetected? Today we're diving deep into this hidden world, exploring 4 different models, from simple, makeshift designs to high-tech transatlantic machines. How do these submarines operate? What tactics do they use to evade detection? And how does the Coast Guard fight back in this deadly game of cat and mouse? Every year, cartels push hundreds of tons of cocaine into the billion-dollar markets of the US and Europe. Law enforcement intercepts a fraction of it, but the rest still finds its way to the streets. Smugglers are relentless, always engineering new methods to outsmart authorities. In the beginning, narco subs were crude and short-range, but over time their construction became more sophisticated. A secret industry emerged, hidden deep in the jungles of South America. Meet Oscar Moreno Ricardo. To Colombian authorities, he is the king of semi-submersibles. Here, concealed beneath the dense jungle canopy, he operates a clandestine shipyard. The world outside is oblivious, and law enforcement is nowhere in sight. This is where Ricardo and his competitors build their submarines, crafting vessels capable of crossing entire oceans, each one carrying tons of cocaine. These narco submarines are designed to vanish beneath the waves. Yet, every now and then, we get a rare glimpse into their secretive world. Hy Sutton has spent years studying these elusive crafts. A defense analyst and expert in unconventional naval warfare, he has dedicated his career to understanding their evolution. I've been looking at narco submarines for about 15 years, keeping a database of all the incidents, analyzing their designs, and tracking the trends that are evolving in this space. Now let's step aboard our first submarine. This is a classic narco submarine, an early design that first surfaced in the late 2000s. Even today, vessels like this are still in use. At around 14 meters long, it's not a true submarine, but a low-profile vessel. Its structure sits just above the waterline, painted in muted tones to blend into the sea. Its low height makes it difficult for radar systems to detect. Right now, this vessel is en route to Central America. Inside the cramped hull, 5 men sit in silence. The only sound is the low hum of the diesel engine, pulsing through the fiberglass walls as they push forward at 16 kilometers per hour. The sub is divided into 3 sections. At the center, the crew's living space is minimal: cramped bunks, no comforts, and just a single hatch above for access. At the rear, the diesel engine rumbles, shaking the thin walls. Positioned behind the crew compartment, it's within reach in case of a breakdown. At the front, the cargo hold is packed tightly with bags, 7.7 tons of cocaine, worth a fortune. The weight of the cargo, fuel, and engine is carefully calculated to keep the vessel as low in the water as possible. If this sub reaches its destination, the cartel stands to make an enormous profit. But not today. A Marine Patrol aircraft spots the submarine and immediately radios the US Coast Guard. In international waters, the chase begins. 2 small boats and a helicopter speed toward the vessel. Within minutes, Coast Guard officers leap onto the sub's deck, pounding on the hatch. The smugglers have no choice but to surrender. Along with the 5 men, authorities seize over $200 million worth of cocaine. Had the Coast Guard hesitated for even a moment, the crew could have activated a last resort tactic, the scuttling valve. One turn of the handle, and the sub would flood, vanishing into the depths of the ocean, along with all evidence. This was a short journey, but others are far longer. Deep in another part of the Amazon, a much larger LPR, low-profile vessel, is preparing to depart. It pushes off near Manaus, Brazil, heading toward Macapa at the mouth of the Amazon River. This one is different. Nicknamed CH, this semi-sub is over 20 meters long. Inside sit 3 men: Agustin Alvarez, a former Spanish boxer and the vessel's captain, along with 2 Ecuadorian crew members. Their mission? To cross the Atlantic. Their speed? 19 kilometers per hour. Their route? A 6,000-kilometer journey from the depths of the Brazilian rainforest to the shores of Europe. With no GPS, only a compass to guide them, they will spend 2 weeks in isolation, riding the waves of the open ocean. Every day is a gamble. If they make it, they will emerge as ghosts from the sea, delivering their cargo without a trace. But if something goes wrong, no one will come looking. This narco sub follows the same principles as the first, but it's more advanced, larger, stronger, and built for endurance. It's just one of many that attempt this journey. Some will make it, others will vanish without a word. You've got the engine in the back, the crew crammed in the middle, and the cargo bay stuffed to the brim. But nearly half of this sub's space is taken up by something just as crucial: fuel. 3 massive tanks holding 20,000 liters ensure the vessel has enough range to complete its journey. For the men on board, comfort is not a priority. There are no proper beds, just hard surfaces to rest on. Toilets, plastic bags, the menu is equally grim: energy bars, rice, or cans of sardines. And with only one real seat, 2 men must always lie down, taking turns in the cramped quarters. The journey is brutal. They endure 3 storms, each one threatening to send them to the depths. At one point, they barely avoid colliding with a much larger ship. But despite the dangers, they make it. They cross the Atlantic. Then, their luck runs out. After 27 days at sea, the sub runs out of fuel. The journey took twice as long as planned, thanks to rough ocean conditions. Now, they're stranded, unable to transfer the cargo to another vessel. 2 attempts to meet with cartel boats fail. Desperate, Alvarez makes a risky move. He reaches out to an old friend back in his hometown of Vigo, hoping for help unloading the cocaine. But the plan falls apart. Out of options, they make their way to the Galician coast and sink the sub. They're ready to disappear, but someone is already watching. The EU's Maritime Analysis and Operations Center has been tracking them. Spanish authorities receive a warning. A suspicious vessel is approaching their shores. Night vision goggles pierce through the darkness as law enforcement monitors their every move. The moment they reach land, the trap is sprung. 2 Ecuadorian crew members are arrested soon after the sub sinks beneath the waves. But Alvarez, he vanishes into the night. For 5 days, he hides in an abandoned house, evading capture. But there's nowhere left to run. Spanish police finally track him down. The sub is refloated and confiscated, revealing its cargo: 3 tons of cocaine, worth around $100 million. For every narco sub that gets caught, a cartel loses an enormous amount of money. And that's reason enough to innovate. At first glance, this next vessel looks like a real submarine. A sleek, cylindrical shape stretching 24 meters long, but looks can be deceiving. This is a snorkel sub, an advanced smuggling machine, nearly capable of full submersion. Only a single snorkel protrudes from the top, allowing it to breathe. It draws in air to cool the diesel engine and supply oxygen to the crew. That snorkel is what gives the vessel its name. Unlike military submarines, this one isn't built from steel. Instead, its entire body is made from fiberglass, a lightweight but durable material. A diesel engine powers the sub, while an onboard generator provides electricity for key systems, including a camera mounted atop the snorkel. With it, the crew can scan their surroundings while staying hidden beneath the water's surface. Ballast tanks allow them to take in water and dive deeper when danger looms. Inside, space is tight, but there are some luxuries. A basic toilet, a small sink. In a world where conditions are usually harsh, these tiny comforts make all the difference on long voyages. But make no mistake, this is a workhorse. The snorkel sub can carry up to 8 tons of cocaine, moving its illicit cargo across thousands of kilometers from Colombia to Mexico and beyond. And here's the thing. So far, not a single one has ever been caught at sea. The only reason we know about them? The few that have been captured were found on land. That tells us one thing: they work. It makes sense. A patrol aircraft would struggle to detect a vessel like this. Its onboard camera system allows the crew to maneuver strategically, avoiding detection with far greater precision. But perhaps the most remarkable thing isn't the sub itself. It's where it was built. Deep in the jungle, far from traditional supply chains or modern manufacturing facilities, these submarines come to life. They aren't built in high-tech shipyards. They're crafted in hidden workshops, assembled in secrecy, designed by master builders. These aren't just ordinary engineers, they're artisans, highly skilled, deeply resourceful. Their creations might look crude, but in reality, they are the perfect example of a minimum viable product. just good enough to carry some of the most expensive cargo on Earth across thousands of miles. And here's the catch. Very few people can pull this off. Each of these builders has a signature, a unique way of solving engineering challenges. And among them, one name stands out. In November 2020, deep in the Colombian jungle, law enforcement made an extraordinary discovery, a fully submersible 12-meter-long Narco submarine. But there was something unusual about this one. No fuel storage, no diesel engine in the back. Instead of a diesel engine, this sub houses a staggering 10 tons of batteries, powering twin electric motors. This is the pinnacle of Narco sub ingenuity. Construction costs? Around $1.5 million. It doesn't come cheap, but for the cartels, it's a price worth paying. Dive planes control its depth, while its batteries give it an estimated endurance of 12 hours. Speed? Just 5 kilometers per hour. Range? A mere 60 kilometers. It's neither fast nor far-reaching. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be. This vessel isn't designed for long-haul missions. It doesn't need to cross oceans. It has a different role. Notice this small but crucial detail, that right there is a tow ring. This sub can be attached to larger ships, hitching a ride undetected. It remains hidden beneath the surface, silently being pulled across vast distances. Then, when the time is right, when the smugglers reach their destination, or if the Coast Guard suddenly appears, they unhook it. The sub continues on its own. This makes it extraordinarily difficult to detect. In fact, no one has ever caught one of these in action. Authorities have only found this one, abandoned deep in the Colombian jungle. But logic tells us there must be more. And like the others, they must be incredibly successful. Here's a staggering truth. Most narco subs get through. They slip past patrols. They evade detection. They reach their destinations. But these electric subs, they're even harder to find. Not a single one has ever been seen in the wild. And that makes them the ultimate smuggling machines. This sub is proof that drug cartels are constantly evolving, pushing the boundaries of covert maritime technology, always staying one step ahead. Over time, the trend has shifted. Narco submarines now carry smaller payloads. They transport less cocaine than before, but there are more of them. Instead of relying on a few large shipments, the cartels have optimized their supply chains, prioritizing steady distribution while minimizing risk. And when a sub like this completes its mission, it doesn't return. It vanishes into the depths, joining a growing graveyard of narco submarines. In 2022, the reign of Oscar Moreno Ricardo, the so-called king of narco submarines, came to an end. After years of eluding authorities, he was finally arrested in a joint operation by Colombian and American forces. His capture marks a significant victory for law enforcement, but it is far from a decisive blow. Another worthy successor has most likely already taken his place. Somewhere, in the depths of the Colombian jungle, a new genius is already working on the next generation of narco submarines. More advanced, more sophisticated, and designed to beat the latest tactics of law enforcement.